Hi, my name is Liz Hathway and this is my astrological / celestial look at the week ahead. Who was it who said a week is a long time in politics? Wasn't it amazing last week we had that double Kazemi and we finally see the demise of Theresa May. That one was a long time coming. But it's really interesting that we are now, certainly in the UK, heading into eclipse season. Particularly the solar eclipse, which is on, let me see where my paper is, grab that, which is on the 2nd of July. That's solar eclipse, which falls almost exactly opposite the UK sun, around the midheaven in the 10th house of the UK chart. You know, that's falling on the 2nd of July, just as the whole leadership campaign will be in its final phase. That's when, you know, the two candidates that are going to actually be on the ballot, shall we say, or maybe there'll be more this time, it's not quite clear, but normally it's two. You know, that's when that phase of the contest is going to play out. So that's really interesting that is happening in eclipse season. So yeah, we're in this Gemini season, aren't we, you know, which is really the season of the quick response. You know, we've got a lot of build up on the other side of the fence because Jupiter is in Sagittarius at the moment. So, you know, Jupiter's cheering those sort of Gemini planets, you know, cheering them on. There's a lot of hot air, things are being whipped up. So yeah, the whole sort of communication thing really, the whole Gemini Mercury thing now is really, really important in these early weeks of certainly reflecting on Britain at the moment in that campaign. Because what we see coming into play this week is the T-square that's going to be going on for some weeks, because what Mercury is going to be hitting this week, the Sun is going to be hitting a bit further down the road. So what we see on Thursday is Mercury square Neptune, and Friday we see Mercury opposite Jupiter. And so we're kind of getting into that mutable T-square, which also involves, of course, Jupiter square Neptune. That T-square in the mutables is coming into focus again. And those mutables, when they're in T-squares, it really does kind of lead to frenzy. Things really getting, as I say, cheered on, heated up. You know, and Gemini is a very hot air sort of sign. You know, it's very curious, it's very communicative, it's also very quick-witted. It always has something to say, Gemini. And this might, for example, somebody like Boris Johnson, who is a Gemini, this could be problematic for him, because with that T-square, certainly with Neptune, the focal planet, we're going to get muddled communication, we're going to get gossip, deception. You know, Neptune can very often bring up things from the past, rumours, you know, even things that have not been grounded. It's where the ghosts of the past, in a way, can come back and haunt us. This is also deceptive, and it's really, even if you want to speak your truth, it's in a way it's difficult to speak your truth clearly and truthfully. So this is a sort of T-square, which is about misrepresentation. It's about hearing what you think you've heard and not necessarily what has been said. It's this sort of construct for Twitter storms. And also there'll be a lot of focus now on symbolic meaning. What does that outfit? What does that gesture? What does that signify? What does it mean? How do you read something? This is the nuance of Gemini, and it's all, as I say, complex at the moment, because we have Jupiter retrograde in Sag, and we have that ongoing Jupiter-Neptune square to contend with. And this week, as I said, Mercury square Neptune and Mercury opposite Jupiter. So that T-square, which will be playing out in the coming weeks again through the Sun, is a tricky one, and we can see that reflected as well in our own lives. We have to make extra effort to be clear. We have to make extra effort to get things down on paper properly. We have to leave as little room as possible for for misrepresentation, misinterpretation, while at the same time, you know, allowing that Gemini curiosity its place, because Gemini is great at multitasking. Gemini is, you know, can do 1,001 things at once, but it quite often misses that sort of depth, you know, that sort of time to stay longer with something. And in that respect, I think Boris Johnson is quite an interesting Gemini, because he's renowned. He's a bit of a loose cannon in some ways, because he doesn't read his documents properly. He whisks through things, and he's bright and he's intelligent and he gets away with it a lot of the time. But with this Neptune in the picture now, he could come a cropper here if he's not careful. Interestingly, what we also have, so the main focus of this week is around Thursday, Friday, when we start to see Mercury engaging with Neptune, Jupiter. That's going to be interesting. But what we also see on Friday, on the day of the Mercury-Jupiter opposition, we have a very strong alliance coming through here between Venus and Saturn. Venus trine Saturn, both these planets at the moment have lots of essential dignity. They're looking good, you know, and this Venus-Saturn trine is happening on the day that the moon, another feminine planet, moves into Taurus. It sextiles the nodes. You know, moon is conjunct in Uranus, and then after all of that, then we get the Venus-Saturn trine. So there could be some interesting movement there, as I say, some strong alliances, some new roads with people who have, shown that they have got staying power, that they've got discipline. This might be favourable for a Capricorn, somebody like, who have we got? We have got a Capricorn in this, Rory Stewart, I think his name is. I think he's a Capricorn. So, these people that can show their credentials, that haven't made too many blunders, who haven't tripped over themselves too much. So that's interesting, that sort of that thing that's going on Friday with Venus and the moon as well. On Saturday we have two inconjuncts. We have Mercury inconjunct Pluto, Venus inconjunct Jupiter. I always find the inconjuncts are a bit like a cosmic itch. There's sort of irritations. So, somebody, nagging in your ear who's irritating the hell out of you, or the fact that you may be with Venus inconjunct Jupiter having difficulty controlling your finances. It's slipping through your fingers and you can't quite figure out, and it's annoying what's going on here. But again, the moon remains in Taurus still on Saturday. So, there's a lot of patience there, a lot of, sort of persevere and stick with it, work through it. Because on Sunday we have the moon trine Pluto. So if you want to organise things, if you want to restructure things, with that, certainly things that are connected with finances and money, this is an excellent week to do it with that Venus-Saturn trine on Friday, and then the moon-Pluto trine on Sunday. And then later on Sunday, we see the moon going into Gemini. So it's a really bright week. It's a troublesome week, particularly when we don't take time to do our homework, or, spend that little bit longer with the facts before we put them out there. So we have to be a little bit, we have to not, get caught up in a dust storm really, and not really get involved in communication, which is gossip, which has no fundament. We should keep it real very much, even though that's very difficult in Gemini season, I must admit. Okay, hope you have a great week. I will be doing a special on the candidates for the Tory leadership contest. I just want to check one thing, because I have started looking at who's who in this race, and it's very interesting. For example, in the 20th century, in the whole of the 20th century, there's only been one Gemini Prime Minister, and he didn't go down well in history. That was Anthony Eden. But we do have, as I said, we have a Capricorn, yes, and it is Rory Stewart indeed. So we do have a Capricorn in there, which is quite interesting. I'm not sure about Boris Johnson, even though he's the front runner. It'd be really interesting to see how that Mercury aspect Thursday, Friday, what comes out of the bag, what's pulled out of the hat, what's revealed. Okay, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Have a great week. Bye.